Thank you for checking out my new 3D fishing system. This asset, amongst others I've created, or will create in the future, is meant to expedite the development process for some of the more time-consuming systems. This is a basic fishing system using the new input system. The system covers casting, reeling in your line before getting a bite, hooking the fish, and adding it to a basic inventory setup. When the player tries to cast their line by holding whatever input they assign to the input action, the fishing system will check whether they're trying to cast into water or something else. If it's something else, the cast will simply cancel. If the cast is successful, the player movement inputs are temporarily disabled, and then the fishing inputs are temporarily enabled. Once you cast a line, a timer counts down from a random number chosen between two values you assign. This time determines when you get a bite. Once you get a bite, a new timer begins that gives you a moment to hook the fish. Once the fish is hooked, the fishing system will determine the difficulty of catching the fish by checking the currently hooked fish's catch difficulty. Successfully catching the fish will add it to the basic inventory setup, and once you leave the inventory menu, the player controls are then re-enabled. Let's take a look at this in action. Okay, so here we are in a basic, pretty much blank Unity project. I simply just have the fishing system here, and as you can see in the scene view, all I have is just like a blue square representing the water and a green square representing the land. Just to quickly run over what I've got going on here in the demo scene, I have this ground element is a nav mesh surface, and I have the nav mesh baked on here, and that keeps the player on the ground. So if I walk over here, they won't leave the square. This isn't something that you have to have. This is just something that I included in the demo scene to make it, pretty. So to cover what I've got going on with the fishing system, I have a basic player character here with a player movement script, and they have a player animation manager script. The player movement script, obviously, you don't have to have this. You're probably going to be using this in your own project. So, none of this stuff is technically required. The fishing manager does look for a player animation manager. You could probably get away with not using one. I can add some null checks in there just to make sure that there's no errors whenever that happens. But as you can see here, I have a list of catchable fish, and the catchable fish 1, 2, 3, 4, are just some scriptable objects that I've set up here based off of this fish script. All they have is an avatar, a name, an ID number, and a catch difficulty. The catch difficulty is what determines how fast the UI for actually hooking the fish goes. So let's just show what I've got. So if you walk over to the water and hold right now, what I have set up in my game is the R key is what's casting. So if I hold the R key, you'll see this UI pop up, and this moving indicator move back and forth. And whenever you stop it, whenever you let go of the R key, within this pink square, you'll cast your line out. And then I wait, and then there's that red dot that popped up over my head. That's just a world space canvas that, you can change that to be a sphere over their head, or whatever alert you want to have. So since I didn't press anything when that happened, my cast was canceled. So now I can just start over. But as you can see in the fishing manager, this fishing timer script will determine, I have it waiting between 1 and 5 seconds before I get a bite. So when I cast this out, you'll see this timer start to tick down. When it hits 0, if I press R again, you'll see my UI is moving pretty quick. So this is probably a more difficult fish to catch. And the original bite timer over here is something that you can also just set by whatever parameters you want to have. So if I let go of this, hopefully I can catch it. Okay, caught it. I caught a fish and it was added to my inventory. I have one of this fish. This inventory obviously isn't very robust. I don't have very much going on there, but the point is that you can take these fish and add them to an inventory of whatever you're choosing. So clicking exit will re-enable my player inputs and I can do it again. The way that this is checking whether you've cast over water or not, if I turn around and try to cast, it doesn't work. So, but if I cast close enough to water, I missed it. So if I cast close enough to water here, you'll see the thing pop up, and then I can hold R again, and then I can catch whatever this fish is. So then this is a second fish. If I catch more of the same, like if I catch more than one of the same fish, it'll add it, just increment the number there in the inventory. But the way that this is checking whether you've cast over water or not is with this cast point. It's just an empty game object that hovers out in front of the player. And what happens is whenever you let go of the R key, or whatever key you have bound to your casting, a ray shoots down, and if it detects an object called water, it will cast. You can obviously change this to be whatever object you want. If you want it to be called ocean or whatever, as long as it's called something, and you call it that in the inspector, and then it will check that. So that's how all of that's working. The model here is just a model from Mixamo that I took some basic animations from there to set up. They're not perfect. The animations aren't perfect, but my intention with this isn't to build an animation system for fishing. It's to simply build a fishing system that works. So my input manager here basically just has some methods assigned to each one of the inputs, and then I have an action set up. So any other scripts in the system, whenever they subscribe to these actions, that method that they've assigned will invoke. So I've tried to cut down a lot on like referencing and other scripts and everything. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but yeah, I mean, this is basically how it works. So I'm definitely open to suggestions, and I'm really hoping that this proves to be useful to some people. So if we want more things added to this, I'd be happy to do that. If you've got any suggestions on how to make this a little more robust or a little more modular, I'm all ears. So yeah, in the meantime, I hope you enjoy it and hope that it proves to be useful. So in the meantime, we'll talk to you later.